Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm your storyteller, ready to take you on amazing journeys through different tales. How are you guys? Today's audiobook is The Silk Road by Peter Frankopan. Let's get started. Duh. In the beginning, there was no East or West. The heart of the world was not Europe, as our textbooks often tell us, but rather the vast expanse of land stretching from the eastern shores of the Mediterranean through the mountains and deserts of Central Asia, reaching as far as China. It is here, along these Silk Roads, that the pulses of commerce, culture, and conquest have long beat most vigorously. This is not just a story of trade routes, but of the highways of ideas, religions, and civilizations themselves. As I journeyed into the past, I found that the true story of the world unfolded along these ancient arteries. It was here in the fertile crescent of Mesopotamia, where cities rose and writing was invented, that the earliest forms of organized statehood emerged. In this cradle of civilization, Assyrians, Babylonians, and Persians laid down foundations that would shape political and cultural landscapes for millennia. The Silk Roads were the very veins through which lifeblood coursed between East and West. It was through these connections that silk, spices, and other luxuries made their way to the eager markets of Europe, while gold, silver, and ideas flowed back to the East. Empires rose and fell along these routes, each leaving their mark. The Persians, under Cyrus and Darius, established a network of roads that linked the edges of their empire, allowing for swift movement of armies and ideas alike. The Greeks and Romans, too, were drawn to these riches, yet their understanding of the world remained limited. It was Alexander the Great who first pushed the West deep into the heart of the East, leaving behind a legacy of Hellenistic culture that would intermingle with the philosophies and religions of the Orient. As the world expanded, so did its beliefs. Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam each found fertile ground along the Silk Roads. These were not mere religions, but transformative ideologies that reshaped societies. The spread of Buddhism from India into China and beyond was as much about spiritual exchange as it was about commerce. The rise of Christianity saw the Roman Empire transformed and its messages spread through Syria and Persia, while Islam would later emerge as a force that bound vast territories into a cohesive cultural and intellectual universe. Through these centuries, the East was not a passive recipient but a vigorous participant. Cities such as Baghdad and Samarkand became dazzling centers of learning and innovation, where scholars translated Greek texts and pursued advances in science, mathematics, and medicine that would eventually fuel the Renaissance in Europe. The East was the custodian of knowledge, ensuring its survival and enhancement during times when the West languished in darkness. The Mongol Empire, under the leadership of Genghis Khan and his successors, carved out the largest contiguous land empire the world had ever known, connecting the entire Silk Roads under a single political framework. Their reign brought unprecedented movement of people and ideas, fostering trade and cultural exchange on an extraordinary scale. However, this period also saw the devastation of cities and the disruption of established order, highlighting the fragile balance between conquest and collaboration. The Black Death, sweeping across these routes, was a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of civilizations, carrying not only goods and ideas but also disease. The plague decimated populations, altering the social and economic fabric of Europe and Asia, leading to shifts in power that would have lasting consequences. With the dawn of the Age of Exploration, the focus shifted away from the overland routes to the seas. The discovery of new maritime passages by European powers marked the beginning of a new era. Yet, the Silk Roads did not vanish, they adapted. The wealth and knowledge accumulated over centuries continued to influence the world stage, albeit from a different angle. As we moved into modernity, the narrative of global history shifted towards a Eurocentric perspective, often overlooking the significance of the Silk Roads. Yet, today, as we face new geopolitical challenges and opportunities, the importance of these ancient routes resurfaces. The modern resurgence of China and the strategic interests in Central Asia remind us that the past and present are deeply intertwined. In writing this history, I sought not just to retrace these routes but to reframe the way we understand the world. The Silk Roads were not mere conduits of trade, they were the arteries of civilization. They were where the world met, where cultures clashed and coalesced, and where the foundations of our modern society were laid. As we navigate our complex global landscape, the lessons of the Silk Roads remain as relevant as ever, urging us to look beyond our horizons and recognize the interconnected nature of our world. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe the Sonic Library for more audiobooks.